Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Robin Elander, Executive Director for Downtown Santa Barbara. I'm so excited to be here with Matt Kettmann of the Santa Barbara Independent. We have been doing this Downtown Business Spotlight show for quite some time now. I think we're in our 45th show, I believe, and this show is all about highlighting different downtown business owners, business leaders, and this show is all about Latin cuisine. So Matt has been an editor at the Independent for quite some time, focusing on food and wine. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Matt, to introduce our guests.
All right, thank you, Robin. It's amazing we're still doing this thing, and unfortunately, it seems like we might be doing it a little while longer while this Delta variant keeps going. So at least we have a format for it, and we have some great audience and some great, vendor business participation. So. We have these loose themes that are basically allow us to group companies together. We don't really stick too much to the theme, but in this week's we have Latin cuisine. So we have some great guests. We have Leslie Hollis-López from Carlitos, which has been around forever in the Arlington Plaza there, right across from the Arlington Theater. I remember doing a story on her at one of your anniversaries, I don't know, many years ago at this point, and that was great to hear about that story. So we'll hear a lot about that. We also have Matias Requena-Mackinlay from Buena, Onda, Empanadas. He is originally from Argentina, and he brought that lovely tradition to us. And I've eaten a lot of them in my years. We even, I think, did it for Christmas Eve one night and bought dozens of them, which is a great option if you don't want to cook for one night during the holidays or any night of the week, really. And then we have Jeremy Tummel, the chef from La Paloma, which is the latest Acme hospitality restaurant to open. They opened actually in the midst of COVID back in November 2020. So he'll have some fun stories to tell us about how that went and how he's doing now, which sounds like they're doing quite well. So the way we like to do these things is really just kind of hear backgrounds from each of the individuals and their businesses. And then we can talk kind of after that about how their businesses survived COVID, how you pivoted, what you had to do differently, and how things are going now. So we usually defer to the restaurant with the most experience. So Leslie, we'd really like to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about the business and how you started and that whole lovely origin story for Carlitos?
Okay, well, hi everyone. It's so nice to meet Jeremy and Matias and see you, Matt, again. And of course, Robin, thank you so much for inviting us today. I also have here our GM, Ramsses Noeggerath, and kind of coming in and out. So anyway, yes, my husband Carlos, who's actually an architect by profession from Mexico, we lived here, was doing architecture, and we just were looking for the kind of delicious food that our family enjoyed in Guadalajara and just weren't finding it. This was 42 years ago. And we started toying with the idea of doing a restaurant ourselves. And we found this location on State and Victoria, and we just thought it could be really something special. And so we just jumped on it. We weren't really restaurant people, but we got great support from the community. And we actually started as a to-go fast food for about 3 weeks, but the lines were so long, someone suggested if you let everyone sit down and give them chips and salsa, everyone would be happy. So from that moment on, we were a sit-down restaurant.
There you go.
Great. And were there a lot of other Mexican restaurants in town at that point, or were you kind of a new style of Mexican, or what set you apart?
Well, there's always been a lot of good restaurant choices in Santa Barbara. And at that time, there were some old, Playa Azul had been there or just came right when we did. And there were a couple of other restaurants, Tiny's, Maya's, Beto's, Acapulco, El Presidente. But sadly, for one reason or another, we're still standing and just very happy to have been able to, address all the things, the latest, the COVID, but there's been other things, fires, freeway closures through the years. So, but this certainly last couple of years have been unique.
Yeah, well, you've learned a lot of resiliency. And cuisine wise, I mean, and I don't know, maybe Ramsses wants to talk to this too, but you're obviously it's Mexican food. There's a lot of tradition there, but you've always, you know, I've been in town for 20 plus years now, and Carlitos was one of the first places I ate. It has always had this, you know, fresher style to it. Not so much like the, I guess you would call like home style kind of Mexican American food with lots of rice and beans. You always have had, you know, fresher meats. It seems like, especially, you know, 20 years ago when that trend really hadn't taken off yet. You guys seem to be in front of that kind of fresher style of food trend. Was that an intentional thing, or how did you guys kind of corner
Well,
that?
I just will check in there. You know, we plotted around with great staff, and I really wanted to introduce homemade corn tortillas. And at that time, no one was doing homemade corn tortillas, but we had just gotten back from a trip from Mexico. And so we invited the significant others, wives, girlfriends of the staff that we had, and we asked them to make the tortillas and make their favorite salsa. And that's when we got the great smoky grilled salsa quemada that is kind of our trademark. And I think just making everything from scratch, not having, you know, anything pre-made did set us apart. And we've just kind of gone with that. Can you hear us, Ramsses?
I'm sorry?
Oh, he can. Okay.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? Okay, yeah.
Do you want to chime in, Ramsses? Tell us a little bit about your past and how long you've been with the restaurant, and then a little bit about, you know, what you think sets the Carlitos food apart.
Yeah, well, I'm here. I've been part of Carlitos family for about 5 years now, and I've loved her, you know, since day one. And as Leslie said, you know, it's a unique restaurant. If you think about fresh made food or you know, having a great ambience, you think about Carlitos.
Yeah,
and that's what brought me here. Every time I would drop by, you know, I'll see Carlitos, the umbrellas, you know, you just feel like you're in Mexico, or, you know, Cancun, Puerto, just in some part of Mexico that you want to have fiesta in there. And I would drop by every time, and I'll be like, I want to be part of Carlitos one day, you know, and then it just happened. I came and applied, and I've been so grateful ever since.
Right, great. And you guys have a couple of I guess sister restaurants, you could call them too, or sibling.
Right.
Yeah, sibling restaurants.
Yeah.
Our son Carlos and his wife Amanda own Cava in Montecito with very similar menu, few Spanish, paella and other things that set us apart. And then the hugely successful Dos Carlitos in San Ynez Valley. They, you know, there's just fewer restaurants up there for one, but the community just to embrace them. And Carlitos is busy, but I think Dos Carlitos is even a little busier.
Wow. I heard the actor Shia LaBeouf ate there like every day last week. I saw that on social media.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad, but anyway. Well, great. It's great to hear that story. We'll come back to you and talk about how you guys, you know, pivoted for COVID. I mean, you were well suited with the patio, and people think of you as outdoor dining, so I'm sure that helped. But next, let's go to Matias and talk about Buena, Onda, Empanadas. Matias, tell us you're from Argentina, and how'd you get to Santa Barbara, and how did you decide to start making food?
Yeah, thanks, Matt and Robin, for having me on the show. I moved here in 2002 with my family, and empanadas are a huge part of the culture in Argentina, Latin America, but Argentina specifically. And I remember just like always missing them. And Santa Barbara didn't really have anything at the time. I worked at many restaurants, one of them being Carlitos. I don't know if Leslie remembers, but I did work at some time over there.
How about that?
Yeah, so I remember just always wanted to like bring this to Santa Barbara. It was like a thing for me, like family, like share with my community. And there's a big group of, group of Argentinians here too. So in 2011, I took a trip to Argentina, and I went to Patagonia specifically with my wife. And we were traveling down there. My mom had made a batch of like 50 or 60 pollo empanadas chicken. And we had them in the cooler, and just like I remember, just like we were just grabbing them and eating them, and it was like the most versatile, like amazing food, just cold, you know. And my wife and I were like, we gotta bring this to Santa Barbara, like we have to make this happen. So a couple of years went by, and in 2014, my mom and I, out of my kitchen at home, started making them. And one of the big things that we, you know, from the beginning was our promises was like, hey, we're gonna make him one of the best empanadas that we can have. Really good ingredients, you know, source local, organic, and make the dough from scratch, which no one really did. Everybody bought the dough because it was so much easier. So our friends, our Canadian friends had them. They started buying them for parties, and you know, they were a huge success until the point that in 2015 we started a pop-up in Goleta with our chef Tomas. He was an amazing inspiration for the business, and we ended up.
Was that at like the Goodland Kitchen at the time, or where was
that's right? Yeah, the Goodland Kitchen was like where we started, you know, and it was 3 months of like amazing good vibes, you know, which is what Onda means. And we're like, man, I think we have something here. So we had to move out of there. 2015 at the end, we moved to the Haley spot, which is where we currently are. Just subleasing the space. It was a catering kitchen. We started doing catering, and we bought a wood-fired oven, which is how I met Robin through the festivals. You know, it was like we had this mobile wood-fired oven, and we started doing not only catering for corporate, but also like this amazing festivals like Earth Day and Solstice. And our empanadas became hugely popular. I think like with the oak flavor, they were just elevated, and yeah, people love them. And so yeah, that's kind of how we continue. And after that, we in 2018 was a big year for us. We acquired the kitchen where we're at right now. We moved in fully. We started Mosaic Local with our good friends from Draftsman, L Works, and Hook and Press Donuts. And that was like an opportunity for us to be on State Street, which I never thought it would happen. Small businesses, you know, sharing a location, little public market, and proved to be very successful too. It really exposed our brand. And yeah, so we cannot continue. COVID happened, you know, everybody suffered through that, but we prevailed. And yeah, we now have a beer wine license. We're super excited. We have a great patio at Haley, and yeah, we do a lot of parties and sit down.
And so the Haley Street functions as a restaurant too. Like when I picked up things there, I never really knew if it was like a cafe or if it was just like the pickup spot. Or so it's like a restaurant now too.
Yes, absolutely. So because we started so slow, everything has been, you know, from nothing, you know, we've just built on it, and it was just like very organic growth. And yeah, for a long time, it was just a takeout window. And then we added a few tables and here and there. And like over time, it's just, you know, we built this patio. Now I think it's a beautiful patio, like I said, with the license, and just really adds a little charm to it.
Have you expanded beyond empanadas, or do you plan to, or is empanada works? I mean, I think you're right. You know, as you were talking about it, even before you were starting to explain how you came to the realization it's a perfect food, I'm thinking, you know, empanadas are kind of like they're definitely in the running for most perfect food on the planet, because they can be eaten cold, they're eaten hot, they go in your hand, they can be served fancy style if you'd like, you know, you can eat with a knife and fork. But anyway, so how did you, you know, so do you want to go beyond empanadas, or is that the thing?
Yeah, absolutely. We started, you know, we're working, empanadas are a thing. We want to be the best at it. Like North America, you know, like we were just nominated for top 13 restaurants in Santa Barbara by Pure Wow for our empanadas. So, I mean, that is a staple, but we're going beyond that. And so, you know, Argentinians are also known for great barbecues, asados, and that's what we're doing. I work with the Polo community a lot. So I do their parties, and we like actually do catering with full-on barbecue on site. And yeah, so that is part of like our catering menu. Perhaps we'll develop that into the restaurant. I'm not really sure, because it's very complicated. It's also a lifestyle. I have a 2-year-old daughter, so it's like, hey, it takes a lot out of me. But yeah, we're definitely adding on to the menu. We have potatoes, salads, we have chicken wings, and yeah, so we're adding on slowly. Again, it's all like we want to really get a hold of it before we like dive in, you know. I do.
Right, yeah. Well, and you want to make sure that quality stays as, you know, as high as possible as you grow too, which is, I'm sure, a challenge as well.
It's very, very important to maintain the quality. I mean, that is our number one problem, you know, from the beginning. That was it. So we can, that will never change. That has to stay.
And so you can buy them on Haley, you can buy them Mosaic on State Street. They're also sold around town, right? At different places.
So, you know, wholesale kind of became a thing over the past couple of years. Old Town, Tim from Old Town reached out to me, and he loved them, and he was like, why don't we start carrying them at our coffee shop? And so we had a great partnership there. He sells a ton of them. And I also have a few other ones like Dark Coffee in the Funk Zone. They sell a good amount too. They're also another great partnership. And then in Ojai, we have them too. There's a winery there that sells them. And yeah, and also, I'm spacing out right now, but Low Pigeon Coffee, it's another one that has right now. So yeah, a lot of coffee shops.
Wow.
Works really well.
Congratulations. That's so many places.
Thank you.
I didn't know I could get empanadas at that many places. I've got more options than I thought.
Well, I forgot, yeah, I'm draftsman and Goleta. So yeah, we were just kind of spreading them all over the
Good
place.
for you.
Great.
They're some of my favorite.
I just want to say congratulations, Matias. We've proud that you got a start in Carlitos, and we love your food. We just had a birthday party for my husband a couple months ago, and it was all about the empanadas. And my son and wife, they are, I think, one of your biggest fans.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Leslie.
Great. All right, let's go on to Jeremy over here. Jeremy Tummel is the chef and one of the visionaries behind La Paloma, which is the restaurant that took over the Paradise Cafe and actually took it back to its original name, which was La Paloma. So Jeremy, tell us a little bit about your own background. You've been in town quite a while, chefing, and then tell us a little about La Paloma and what you guys are doing there at the corner of Anacapa and Ortega.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's been quite an adventure. Spent probably most of my career in Santa Barbara, but left Santa Barbara in 2007 to go to Los Angeles, where I actually worked at a Latin restaurant called Ciudad, specializing in Latin cuisine from around the world. So that was good exposure for me into the Latin culture and that style of food. Then I went to Pebble Beach for 7 years. Did some time in Los Olivos at the Bear and Star, and moved back to Santa Barbara about 3 years ago. Kind of funny, my first actual day with Acme was March 15th of 2020, which was the big day that they had to announce the closure of all the restaurants. So it was kind of a first and last day there, which was a bizarre circumstance, but it was what it was. It's, just reacting to the situation at hand. But throughout that time, we stayed in touch, and that's when the decision was made to rebrand Paradise back to what it was, which was La Paloma. So we wanted to kind of go back in time and represent food that people might have been eating here 100 years ago, 150 years ago. So a lot of, open barbecue cooking, took a lot of influence from the Mexican culture, some Spanish influence, a little bit of Chumash influence. I'm part Chumash Indian, so I'm happy to bring that part of the menu to the table. And then a good amount of like California barbecue or Santa Maria style barbecue. So when you round that all out, it kind of presents itself to what La Paloma is, which is unique. It's a time and place. It's a memory. A lot of our dishes, I feel, have stories and history. It's very familiar food to a lot of people here, whether they know it or not. It's familiar, it's comfortable, it's approachable. So it's a warm, inviting place that we just like to welcome people into and have them enjoy. Oops, sorry, my dog's barking. Yeah.
And you even have that connect. I remember when I did the article, when you opened, I got to interview one of the sisters who grew up, when it was La Paloma, grew up going in and out of the kitchen. Their house was attached to the restaurant. I mean, it's really awash in stories, the whole place. And you redid the murals too.
Yeah. Well, we touched them up. We
touched them up.
But yeah, they're preserved. But yeah, the Loera family's been amazing. We've had a lot of great stories come through, and it's fun to see people that come through the door that went there when it was La Paloma and are revisiting now, or even people that were big Paradise fans that are giving it a try. It's been warmly received, so it's been great.
I'm so happy to hear that.
And Paradise was a very popular drinking establishment as well, and you guys have kept up the bar tradition too, as much as you can during these times, right?
Yeah. No, the bar's doing great. Great cocktails, great vibe. It's a beautiful space.
Great. And while we're talking to you, and since you opened during COVID. Why don't we kind of shift the conversation a little bit to that? I mean, so you start on March 15th, 2020, which is like, you know, the American doomsday of this era, and then you proceed to develop this place through the year and open. Yep. I think you said right before the second full shutdown in November of 2020. So take us through that experience.
Well, I don't know if it was a horrible time or a great time to open a restaurant, because, you know, it's uncertainty for sure, but you also have an opportunity to kind of launch gradually and to, you know, grow into your space and grow into your training and kind of what you are and who you are. We grew into it at an accelerated rate, not knowing exactly, you know, when that opening day is going to be, but thinking we're in the clear. I believe it was November 11th, but with limited reservations. I think it was outdoor dining only at that time. Opened very smoothly. One of the smoothest openings I've been involved with. So that was great. And everything just felt right. Like everything was clicking. The food, drinks, the service, the guests, like everything was just wonderful. And then I think it was middle of December when we realized that we had to shut down and do takeout only and kind of, you know, adjust to that. And you know, unfortunately furlough the staff temporarily, but the management stayed on and we did takeout, and we tightened the belt and did dishes and did all the cooking and, you know, whatever it took to keep the doors open in hopes that we would reopen soon. So we learned a lot of lessons there. I think we all did, how to be just more efficient operators and just kind of better at getting by with what you have. But luckily the menu is very portable. The food traveled well. So we had enough success with that to keep it going. And then gradually opened a kind of lunch patio service, counter service, which was doing okay for a while. Dinner's always been great. So we're able to do that because of the two big outdoor patios. You have a lot of space out there. So that's been a blessing. And then, yeah, just kind of opened back up when everybody gave us the green light. So a lot of lessons there. It was a time that I don't think I want to relive, but I'm glad I went through it. And I'm glad we all did.
What do you think,
Yeah.
Matt? I think that he pretty much gave the most positive version of like that learning experience I think I've heard on this show yet.
Yeah, probably so. Although we have heard a lot of people say like they learned a lot. You know, they wouldn't want to do it again, sure. But they learned so much about how to be more efficient, about, you know, how to deal with menus and to look at things you don't need on the menu or things that you don't need, you know, in the restaurant and you know, just be more
great
efficient.
Great point.
And how are things are going now? Are just fine now? Kind of, you got some fiesta entertainment coming up, sounds like, and
yeah, we have flamenco dancers there today, right after the show. If anybody's interested, come on down. It should be a lot of fun. We're decorated for fiesta. We're wide open. Looking forward to hopefully a fun week. Everything's going great. Everything's really in a good space. Let's just knock on wood that we can maintain that. Everybody can.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. Leslie and Ramsses, so tell us about what happened. I mean, you guys are also, you have a big patio. You're kind of well equipped for dealing with outdoor dining, but what did you have to make any menu changes? Any other changes during the COVID shift?
Well, you know, like Jeremy, when March 15th came around, it was really such a period of just, you know, uncertainty, I think, was the biggest thing. We didn't know if we would have a restaurant in a month's time or, you know, how we were going to navigate it. And at first, they said it was 2 weeks. So I remember posting my notice to our customers and letting them know for their safety and our employees that we were going to close for 2 weeks. And then that, of course, went on until I think we reopened May 25th. But the silver lining of it all, and there really were some silver linings, was how the community stepped forward. I mean, we've been here for a long time, and I kind of knew from our sales that people, you know, liked us, but we really found out that people really did like us. And when we were able to open up, it was just, you know, just so much appreciation, support. Ramsses might be able to say, but I know for sure I was witness of a Montecito comedian who lives there and came in and gave $1,000 to one of our servers as
Oh my goodness.
thank you for everything. And that just, you know, maybe not so much, but there were a lot of $100. And the good thing about being closed, we were able to paint, we were able to, you know, redo the walk-in refrigerator, label the pantry the way we really wanted it to look. And when we relaunched, because we just weren't certain, when we relaunched, it was for to-go only. And luckily, we only had to do takeout one day before we were able to open again on the patio. We're not known for takeout, but it does travel well and we survived. But, you know, the city just stepping up so quickly to support businesses and allowing the parklets, it ended up a little bit of mishmash. State, you know, may need some editing down the line, but it was a huge olive branch and handshake and support. So we have a big patio. During the time that state was totally closed in our block, we used our parking lot, the parklet, and our patio. So what we found now is that people just don't want to go back into the interior dining. And we also learned, you know, we honed the menu, distilled things a little bit, and just cranked out, you know, the top hits. And with the exception of a bondiga soup, which I keep hearing, and we're going to put it on in the winter, people are happy with the new menu. And we, you know, when we were able to open, it was just amazing how busy we were when we did open up. So we're very thankful. I will say that in December, it was really hard reopening, just getting everything back in May and getting everything started again, the orders and everything up to gear. But in December, when the governor closed us again, we decided we're going to stay open. Luckily, by the end of January, we got to open outside again. But the important thing, we were able to maintain our staff. And Ramsses, I'll just let you talk about that. About how the staff has been so loyal.
Yeah, you know, as Leslie said, it was a difficult situation, but we were also so grateful with you know, Leslie and Carlos that they allowed us to keep putting those hours, especially because, you know, like mainly all of us has a family to support. And it was just, you know, how amazing how the community and the locals just came in supporting us, you know, giving us extra tips, or just in general, just having Carlitos as their almost everyday meals. And as she said, we're not really known as a to-go place or restaurant, but we were doing okay. And as long as, you know, all of the employees were putting in a little bit of hours, or at least having a little income to take home, it was just that was mainly our main concern. And everyone was just so happy, you know, coming in here, supporting us, and also the employees just keeping working as usual. And, you know, with us my faces, even though you can't see them with the mask on, but it was just amazing seeing all the employees supporting each other as the pandemic was hitting hard at that time.
Yeah, I have a food question. Was there a certain dish that became more popular than I mean, it sounds like you honed the menu to be kind of your greatest hits anyway, but was there a dish that suddenly became like the most popular dish because people were, I don't know, had a pandemic diet or something?
Needed a fix.
You needed a fix?
I can tell you probably our pozole, since it was, you know, a good soup, freshly made. It was probably the hit.
Yeah, that's great. And pozole is delicious. I love pozole, and it also feels. I don't know if it is particularly healthy, but it feels healthy. It feels like you're getting like a bone broth. You're getting something that's kind of warming your soul and I don't know, making you feel stronger. So I could see that playing into it too a little bit.
Yes, I would say albondigas if we have it on the menu, but pozole was definitely, something that you feel like eating that time.
Right, great. Matias, I mean, Carlitos had a nice patio. They're kind of well equipped. I mean, La Paloma started during the pandemic, but they also had these 2 patios. You build a patio, but really your food is built to go. So how did you guys? I mean, I could see you even getting a rise in orders during the pandemic. I mean, how did things go when things shut down?
Yeah, I mean, just like for everybody else, the first few weeks were very scary. Felt like the world was coming to an end. But yeah, like you said, we were very much set up for takeout. It travels really well, and people were already doing that. We originally were doing only takeout. So we kind of went back to that, to the drawing board. And Mosaic started doing more takeout than ever. And the Haley location, one of those nights I was like, I think people, what they want to do is they don't want to come out. So we're going to go to them. And so we started doing frozen empanadas for delivery and then for pickup. But at the beginning, when nobody wanted to come out, we were just like, well, we'll do it and we'll just deliver it. And we never sold them frozen, but at that time, it was like the perfect way to pivot the business. And it became a #1 seller on the menu, like the frozen empanadas, whatever you wanted to choose, we would bring it to you. And
you gave some like instructions too, right? Like a egg wash.
Yeah, you would just get a little baking sheet and then like the instructions on how to do it. Super easy. Everybody was, turning on their oven at home. So it was fine. And yeah, we sold them frozen. Half baked was another great option if people didn't want to wait so long. But it depended, some people just didn't really want to come out and they were like, no, I just want to as little as contact as possible. So here we go. The frozen ones, put them in the freezer. Don't have to worry about anything. And then we have them also to reheat like cold. So you can just pick them up like that too. So that was kind of how we pivoted. And, honestly, we never closed. We're very fortunate. It was a tough time. For a moment, I was like, should we close or what? But everybody was very loyal too. The community was super supportive. They kept buying our empanadas the whole time. I mean, we saw amazing numbers. And yeah, we had a few months that were rough, just like everybody else. But then we just had an amazing year, I would say. So.
I think we're assuming that everyone that's watching understands what empanada is, and probably 80% do, but maybe some don't. So why don't you describe what an empanada is, and also tell us about all the different fillings you have, because you have some very unique and also delicious combinations in there. So why don't you tell us what you make?
Yeah. So the empanada, it's like a pastry turnover, meat pie in England. There's so many ways to name them all over the world. But Argentina is known for really good baked empanadas. We make them with flour, like a flour tortilla, if you will, a tapa we call it. And basically, we make it from scratch. It's really simple. It's like a dough pie, and then we just add all kinds of fillings. So we have the beef, which is a classic recipes, ground beef, a very authentic Argentinian with the olives and the egg, which a lot of people are like, what is this? But it's just like, that's the authentic way, so that's how we present it. And then we have the chicken, which is my mom's recipe, the one that traveled through Patagonia and really sparked the whole idea. And then we have a couple of cheese options for those like cheese lovers, a lot like pizza empanadas. And we have a corn one, a mushroom. We have 2 vegan options, which the vegan community loves, and breakfast options too. So yeah, quite a bit.
That's great. Yeah, no,
they're all so good. You cannot go wrong. You can just say, "Give me a dozen," and you will be happy.
and you seem to be teaming up with a lot of draftsmen for sure, but it sounds like you had some other breweries that were kind of in the mix. But do you do a lot of wine pairings? Because really the flavor set in, maybe this is getting too wine geeky for this show, but the flavor set in those empanadas are pretty precise, but also complex, and could go really well with like various wines. You could do a whole dinner of them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. We partner up with a lot of wineries. Fred Brander from Brander Winery was one of our first ones. He's Argentinian too, so it only made sense. We did partnerships, a lot of events with him, and pairing the empanadas. And then a lot of local wineries have reached out, and yeah, we've done all kinds of stuff like wine pickup parties. And yeah, it is something that I feel like, I mean, it goes amazingly well with beer. But I think with wine, for me, like a good, like, you know, Malbec, obviously, or even like a Syrah, Cab, I feel like that's how I like to enjoy my empanadas, you know.
Right. Do you ever think we'll see Buena Onda empanadas like in Ralph's, like as a frozen thing that you buy? You're like the empanada king of the world. Is that possible? Or
I hope it's more like Whole Foods, not so much Ralph's.
Okay. Good answer.
But yeah, I mean, the direction is we're sort of like exploring that opportunity of like maybe doing more production, getting a bigger facility where we can do that, and then distribute empanadas all over California. We really want to we want people to try them. They're unique. Even in LA, I mean, being Argentinian, I always was looking for the perfect empanada place, and I could never find it. And there's a couple good ones. So I know in San Francisco they have a couple, but you know, between that there's nothing. So there's definitely a lot to explore in this territory.
Yeah, great.
Exciting.
I think we look forward to seeing that. Jeremy, you talked a little bit about your menu, but are there what are some of the highlights? What are people really into right now? I mean, COVID or not related, just what are some of the most popular things on your menu? I really love that hominy thing with the cheese baked in and everything. That's delicious. But
the hominy casserole is definitely a very popular dish. One of my favorites for sure. Tri-tip's our best seller. We do a pretty authentic Santa Maria style tri-tip over the Red Oak Grill with pinquito beans, a Santa Maria salsa, and a little horseradish sauce. Very popular. People love the carnitas dish. It's just a ton of flavor, super tender. With or without tortillas, you can turn it into tacos, but that's very popular. Probably the sleeper dish there that I encourage people to try is the Mission Chicken. It's the dish that I kind of got inspiration from volunteering at the I Montanari Festival about 20 years ago when I was going through culinary school. So that's kind of a favorite of mine personally. The vegetarian chorizo tacos are very popular. And then we have a daily rotating local seafood off the grill. So it's a very small menu, but honestly, everything on it is really solid, really high quality, really good. I'm proud of everything on the menu. Run specials. We do tamales from time to time. I have a very soft spot for tamales.
Anything special for Fiesta this weekend?
We're doing a happy hour menu. So we have 3 items for happy hour, which we haven't done yet, from 3 to 5. Just kind of light bites, doing some chorizo nachos, white sea bass ceviche, and then a daily taco. So that's fun. Good way to just kind of come in and try some food.
Great. And let's finish with some wisdom here. Leslie, you've been watching this town for a few decades in the restaurant business, and as you said, you've seen fires, you've seen freeway closures, you've seen ash falling from the sky. I mean, this has obviously been a really challenging time, but what do you predict we're going to be stronger for this, or what do you think is going to happen, a decade or so from now, from what we've learned here?
Well, just from everything that happened, I really didn't know Robin. I had met you before, but Eric and Robin, and we've just become, I think there's more communication with businesses and interface with the community and the city. And I think, leaders are going to take a step back and see this as an opportunity of what we can really do and make it different. I had an opportunity to travel in Healdsburg, in Sonoma, and in Greenwich on the East Coast, and out in Montauk, and saw firsthand what they did with their parklets and how they did the city. So it's going to be a tough question if the closed promenade stays there. In Greenwich, they've done a 1-lane only direction, kept parklets, but did open to address some of the concerns of retail. So I think it's going to be really an interesting challenge, but I think anytime when there's change, good things are going to happen. And I just feel very blessed we have a large patio. I would not open a business without a patio, knowing what I know now.
Right. Well, and of all the towns that have patios in, I mean, I think Santa Barbara is near the top of that list globally. So,
Yeah.
Great. Well, Robin, they've answered my questions. I think we covered quite a bit. I'm hungry now.
I'm officially hungry. I usually get hungry with these shows, but ooh, I am hungry, and I realized I still have some frozen empanadas in my freezer. I'm going to have to bust out. But this has been such a great conversation. You know, for the people who are watching live and who will watch after this. You know, we're learning about how business, really thriving businesses here in town have not only started and built their dream, but also, you know, collaborated with others to grow and talking about the future of downtown. So it's really exciting. I think we have a lot of opportunity here. And for those that are thinking about starting businesses downtown, I know there's quite a number in this moment who are looking for spaces and also thinking about opening restaurants. We're excited to collaborate with you and looking to see how we can grow our downtown together. So yeah, this has been great. I don't have additional conversations or questions, but I do have some things about next week's show. Is this a good time to do that, or do you want to finish anything up? Our panelists, is there anything else you want people to know that's coming up at any of your restaurants?
Fiesta, come on down.
Fiesta, let's do it. Happy hour is happening at Jeremy's place right now. Time. We got to get out.
We have.
You're all welcome.
We're doing live music tomorrow. We have live music at the State Street location on the back. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely, we're so fortunate that we have patios, so it's a great spot to come and hang out. There's first Thursday tonight, and it's going to be right on our block. So yeah. Good
stuff. Excellent. Anything else, Jeremy, you wanted to share?
Yeah, well, we just launched brunch, and that's been super fun. It's a great menu. It's small, but very craveable. Again, beautiful outdoor patio. We're very proud of the brunch menu. So if you're in the mood for brunch, give us a shot.
Fabulous. And Leslie, Leslie or
Well, I would just say anytime is margarita time. So enjoy this week. It's a little different than other years, but I think we just showed the poster that if you could show that poster that the Presidente just came by and had lunch with his wife. So people are out. So we just want everyone to stay safe and have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Stay safe, drink margaritas, because I think this week we all probably could use one. I'll share a few things.
I'll leave you guys a little bit about Carlitos. Our patio in Parkland.
Yes, it's gorgeous. Way to show us a little tour there. Well, I'll share a couple things that are coming up this weekend. As I mentioned, First Thursday is happening from 5 to 8 this evening. We've got about 10 different locations throughout downtown that have exhibits, they have entertainment. We do have businesses that have, we've encouraged people to have limited capacity just so that we can keep people safe, but all of the details are on our website at downtownsb.org. We also have Mariachi Los Andes de Santa Barbara is going to be performing at our State Street Promenade Market this evening until 7:30. 123 and King Zero is going to be downtown as well at EOS, and we've got flamenco, like you said, at La Paloma, and Project Fiesta, a history of old Spanish days at the Santa Barbara Historical Museum exhibit of all of the years. There is so much history having to do with Fiesta, and so it's a great chance to check that out. And so much more. So can't even go into it, but there's DJs, and come out, wear a mask, except when you're drinking that margarita, and have some fun. So next week, we're going to be highlighting a few additional panelists, and it's all about a very different version of our show, but it's senior care. And so we have the family, I think it's, I just had it open.
It's
but
the active aging thing. So
yes, active aging show.
so we
You
have
want to
our
talk a little bit about it?
Sure, yeah, we have
Matt?
our active aging. We do an annual special issue. It's an insert, so you can pull it out of the paper on staying active and staying well into your older years. So it's called the active aging issue, and we have stories on all sorts of stuff. But I'm not entirely sure who's coming. I know Family Service Agency is coming, I believe. And who are the other couple panelists?
Let's see. I moved away to a different page and I
Okay.
screwed it up. But it's Lisa Bravo from the Family Service Agency, and then Mary Beth Gomez with VNA Health. So excited to chat with them and see what they are up to and how they've been supporting our community during this time. And then lastly, on Sunday of this week, Sunday after Fiesta, we're having a downtown beautification day, and the entire community is invited to come. We're going to be picking up litter. You know, there might be a few extra things downtown after Fiesta, so we're going to clean that up collaboratively and make sure our downtown is looking great and beautiful for the upcoming weeks. So that's what's happening. You can sign up on our website again at downtownsb.org. On our events page, you can check out all the happenings and learn about all of our downtown businesses. So until next week, I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Anything else last to share, Matt?
No, I think you covered it. Thank you all for coming on, and I look forward to eating at your places very soon.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. Keep up all the great work.
Thank you.
Thanks.